All right, here we are at the bike with the unit installed. I thought we would go through the initial startup of this new Zumo. There are some things on these Zumo devices that separate them from normal Garmin GPS units. And I thought if anybody out there wasn't familiar with it, it might be helpful to show you what those are. So let's get the bike turned on. And that'll give us our initial startup. All right, here we are on the first screen you see after turning it on. I want you to select a language. Wow. So, first thing I'll say, this new style screen on here is way more responsive than the old screen. I barely even touched the screen and it captured that input. That is really cool. Wow, that is so much better. I can barely even feel my finger touching the screen and it's detecting that. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, so the first thing it's going to want you to do is connect to the Garmin Drive app on your phone. Oh, that's interesting. Why did it do that? Okay, so what happened with the screen there was that the unit apparently comes with the screen brightness and screen color in auto detect mode. I'm pretty sure that's just based off of time. I don't think that there's any sensors around the screen detecting if it gets dark or light, but I could be wrong. I couldn't find anything in the owner's manual or online that clearly states whether or not there's any sensors. Pretty sure that's just based off of time. But so what happened there was it knew that where I'm at right now, it's already dark. So it turned the screen down, the screen brightness, and it also changed the background to black so that when you're riding, you're not getting this super bright white light right in your face, which is a good feature, but that was kind of annoying for a video. So like I was saying, with the initial setup, it wants you to pair to the Garmin Drive app on your phone. We're going to go ahead and skip over that for right now just so we can get to the main menu, and then we'll go over the setup of this and a few other things one at a time. So we'll skip this one. Then this is to choose your Wi-Fi connection. This, I definitely recommend connecting this to your Wi-Fi if you have a Wi-Fi network at your house. By connecting to a Wi-Fi network, this Zumo can update its software as well as the maps, so you never have to connect it to your computer unless you want to download special maps. So I'll go ahead and do this off screen so you don't know what my Wi-Fi password is, I guess. Okay, so we're connecting to my Wi-Fi. Just some agreements. Sure, why not? Register your product. I recommend doing that as well. That will help you if you have any warranty issues with this device while it's under warranty. And it also makes things easier if you ever have to connect to the, I think it's called Garmin Express. I have a few Garmin devices, and it's just, you can see all of the devices that you own if they're all registered. Just makes things a little bit easier. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, then once you've registered the device, it's going to ask you to connect to a headset, whether you've got a Sena or a Cardo or some other brand of Bluetooth headset. As long as it uses Bluetooth, you can pair this to your headset, and you'll get your spoken navigation or your directions through your actual headset, which is an awesome thing to have when you're on a motorcycle. I'll go ahead and skip that now. So this is your main screen. When you turn your bike on after you've gone through the initial setup, this is what you're gonna see every time you turn the key on. If you're familiar with literally any other Garmin GPS, this is gonna look really familiar to you, all the way back to some of their first street navigation devices. They all have this same basic layout. What you will find is different on this, especially being a Zumo, is the music button. If you had your phone paired here, you could see the music that's playing on your phone, and you can control this right from here. So the music is being transmitted from your phone to the Zumo. You can see the information there, you can control it here, and then the audio is with a Bluetooth connection to your helmet, the headset in your helmet. So back on the main screen, you've got where to and view map. Those are your first, they're looking at you right in the face when you first turn it on. So under where to, oh yeah, it gives you tips. I forgot about this. When you first set it up and you go into menus that you haven't been before, it gives you some tips on how to run the device. After you've gone through the menu and hit OK on that tip, it won't show you that again though. So in the where to menu, you've got, if you have it set up, you can just click go home from wherever you are and it'll give you directions to home. You can search by address. You can see your recent places once you've been using it for a while and you've used it to navigate to different places. Those will all be saved under recent. Explore is another one of the apps that you need on your phone. It's not required to use this, and I haven't exactly figured out what it does, but we will dive into that later, either in this video or that may be its own video. If you have a place that you go to a lot, you can save it for some reason. If you go there a lot, then you probably just know how to get there without GPS, but you can save things as like a favorite and it just makes them easier to find. Categories is the points of interest that are stored on the device are kind of separated into categories, and you can search through here by category. So say you're in the middle of a trip and you don't know the area that you're in, but you want to go find lunch, you can just click on restaurants and it'll give you restaurants that are near you and obviously give you directions how to get there. That does not require a data connection. You could be in the middle of nowhere with no data connection on your phone, and as long as there's points of interest that are saved in here, which it comes preloaded with, you can get directions to it. Just wanted to make that clear. You don't actually have to have a data connection for that to work. The next tab down, Trip Advisor. My old Zumo had this, the Zumo 396. It's just different points of interest, nothing too crazy. Ultimate Public Campgrounds. This is something that's stored on the device and just helps you locate campgrounds. If you're unfamiliar to the area that you're in, this can tell you the closest campgrounds and obviously give you directions on how to get there. I've never used this, but I'm very excited about that because sometimes you're in the middle of a trip. Obviously you don't know the area, but you want to find somewhere to camp. Well, this will point you to at least public campgrounds. It's not going to tell you about everybody's awesome secret backwoods campsite, but it'll at least get you to a public campground. The iOverlander, as far as I understand, is points of interest and other features for motorcycling, but also the, what's it called? Like the overlanding crowd, hence iOverlander. It's essentially, it's just a different way, a different collection of points of interest. Same thing with motorcycle locations. It'll give you, like, my nearest motorcycle dealership is BMW Motorcycles of Utah, or there's South Valley. So again, just a different way to organize points of interest. National parks, huh? Not really sure why you would need that. We all have Google on our phones, but we'll tell you how to get to the national parks if you so desire. History, as in the History Channel, again, just a different way to sort through points of interest. I'm not sure why that needs to be branded History Channel and this one is branded TripAdvisor, but again, just different ways to sort through points of interest. Foursquare, again, different way to look through points of interest. What I will point out though, and I guess I should have said this for all those other ones, these are all based on information that's stored in the unit. So you can be in the middle of nowhere with no data connection on your phone and these will still come up. And then once you're at a Wi-Fi connection and whenever the Zumo searches for updates, whenever it's updating the maps, there may also be updates for points of interest. Just so that those are downloaded, saved on the device, ready to go, even if you're not paired to your phone and your phone doesn't have a data connection. And then all the way down here at the bottom is intersections. So you can search, say, I need to get to the intersection of 2300 East and 3500 South, or whatever. If where you live streets are by names, then you can search by those intersections. Or you can, wow, that screen is very responsive. You can search by actual coordinates. If you're off-roading or maybe geocaching, I could see that being useful for geocaching. And you can add a shortcut. And then there's a tip down here that tells you how to reorder all of these if you want. I'm kind of surprised that these aren't up at the top. So that was everything under Where To. Then when you click on View Map, the first time you click on View Map, it's going to ask you if you want to save travel history. That's not sharing information with Garmin. That's just, it helps the device kind of tailor information for you, and you can look back at your kind of a trail of breadcrumbs of where you've been. I let it do that. It just sometimes has been helpful. Oh, well, the first thing we can talk about here, which is now gone, this orange strip. Helmets are required if under 18 years old. So the Zumo devices, or at least this Zumo device, I don't know which other ones, can tell you, depending on where you are in the country, what the helmet laws are. For me, I don't care because I just always wear a helmet. But if you're the kind of person that doesn't like wearing a helmet, so you take it off whenever you can, this will tell you as you're crossing state lines if you need to stop and put your helmet back on, or if you're okay to pull over and take your helmet off. I would suggest just wearing your helmet all the time. Oh, and if you click on it, it'll even tell you eye protection requirements. Eye protection is not required by law. Huh. Why would you want to ride a motorcycle without eye protection? So up here at the top, it says ready to navigate because we haven't given it a place to tell us how to get to yet. But if we had put in a destination, it would tell us our next turn up here. Wow, that screen is so responsive. I barely skimmed that as I ran my finger across there. The button here that looks like 3 sheets of paper, that's your layers button. So if you click that, you can decide the view, whether you want it zoomed out and kind of a straight overhead look, or trailing, which we're at right now, or there's some different options. And then you can decide if you want to view the topographic maps laid over the standard map, or if you want to use the bird's eye imagery over the top of the standard map. And we will get into what those two are in a little bit. Then we're back at our normal map screen. This is just a quick information window here that will tell you, I have it set to show me the direction of travel, which is, well, the motorcycle hasn't moved, so it hasn't calibrated the compass. Once you move a little bit, it'll figure out which direction you're actually pointed, because right now I'm actually pointed due south. Whoops. If you want to change what shows there, you just click on it. You've got all these different options of things that you can show in that little square there. And same thing on this side. You get some more information here. You can customize this window, and with the 3 lines here, you can do your resets for your trip meter or your fuel settings. And the three dots here will bring up your, I forget the name for this menu, but you can choose what will show. Okay, oops, cancel. You can choose what will show on this sidebar if you want to. So I clicked on up ahead, so then that gives me the option to click on gas stations. And that'll show me gas stations that are in my line of travel. If I had an actual route going right now, like if it were giving me directions, it would tailor these options to, these are the gas stations along the route that you're going to be traveling. Right now it's just kind of a mishmash of whatever's close to me. There's other options that you can choose in here. The one that I usually like to have up on my old Zumo was the music player. You've got your navigation here and what's going on with your phone here, or I mean what's going on with your music. And then if you need to see the whole map, you just hit the X. I think, nope. I thought you could swipe, but you have to hit the 3 buttons to pick which one you want. And the next things we'll look at here is under apps. And the first thing that I definitely want to touch on is the InReach. If you have a Garmin InReach Mini or it's the GPS Map 66i or something, it's the GPS unit that has the InReach features in it, you can pair to this and you'll get any of the notifications that come through on your InReach will show on here, just like if it were your phone. The next one is the Bird's Eye Direct, or the Bird's Eye Imagery. That gives you actual satellite view, overhead satellite view, just like if you're looking at Google Maps. And we'll set that up later in the video and go through that. Then you've got your trip planner, just lets you, you can design a trip right on the device. You don't have to hook up to your computer or anything like that. The share route, share route will allow you to, over the Wi-Fi connection, send, if you have a trip or tracks that you want to share with a friend that also has a Garmin Zumo, as long as it has the Wi-Fi. So I think you're limited to the XT or the 396 and possibly the 595. I don't know for sure if that one has Wi-Fi on it. But anyway, as long as both of the Zumos have Wi-Fi and this share route option, you can just send it over to that person, and then you guys are following the exact same route or tracks, so everybody can stick together. Then tracks is a feature where you can either, if you want to design a track, you just leave a trail of breadcrumbs everywhere you go, and then you can show that on the map if you want to go back and ride that same track later. Or you can receive a track from somebody else and view it, well, go through the options for it in here. Smart notifications would be for your phone, and we'll go through that setup later. Fuel settings is a feature that I believe you only get on the Zumo units, where if you ride a motorcycle that doesn't have a gas gauge, you can tell the unit when you go in here. We're not going to go through the whole setup, but distance per tank, if you tell it my motorcycle can go 200 miles on a tank of fuel, then it will track every time you stop at a gas station and you tell it to reset the fuel settings. In 150 miles, it'll give you a warning, hey, it's time to start looking for fuel. Or you can change that too to whatever mileages you want. Round trip and track back are features that I don't understand. They seem totally redundant. To round trip seems like another way to accomplish trip planner, and track back seems just like following a trail of breadcrumbs that you left with the track feature. So I don't understand those two features. I'm not going to get into them. Phone. See, I don't have a phone paired to it yet, but that would be where you go through and adjust settings for the Bluetooth connection to your phone and the notification settings. Service history, another feature that may not be specific to a Zumo, but I've only ever seen it on a Zumo. You can tell the device, I changed my air filter. I like to change my air filter every 5,000 miles or whatever you prefer, and it'll give you a notification that it's time to do it. And you can also use this to track when those things have been done. Traffic, that's for if you have it paired to your phone, you can get traffic overlaid onto the map. This is the settings for that. Where I've been is just another way to look at the map and see places that you've ridden to or driven to. That's the last one, helmet guide. That's your settings for the helmet guide. And the only thing I want to point out under settings, because everything else in here is going to be exactly the same as all the other Garmin devices, I just wanted to point out the updates screen. As long as you have your Zumo connected to your Wi-Fi network, when you click on the updates section, it'll check, is there an update for the map and is there an update for the software? Whoops. And it will tell you that as right now, there's an update available for both. Wow, it's a large download. I'm gonna have to do that in the house, plugged in. And it will just do that in device. You don't have to plug into your computer or anything. It's awesome. And there we go, back at the home screen. Hopefully that was helpful or at least interesting to watch, and I hope this talked somebody into buying one of these things. I really think that this is the motorcycle specific GPS that people want and have been waiting for. The biggest problem, like I said earlier, on the older ones, or at least my biggest gripe, was the touchscreen was just awful. And you're constantly trying to use it like your cell phone, because that's what we're used to. And you couldn't do that. You couldn't pinch and zoom. You couldn't swipe on the screen to scroll. And now you can do this. This functions just like a cell phone. It's got a nice bright screen. It's a great device. I think everybody is going to be really impressed with these. And it's a whole lot cheaper than what Garmin used to ask for their top-of-the-line Zumos or just any of their top-of-the-line devices. This is kind of a combination of a Zumo and an off-road hiking style GPS, and I think they just nailed it. So anyway, if you liked this, please give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate a subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave it down in the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.